I'd like to call tonight's Lower McCutcheon Township Board of Commissioners meeting to order. If we could all please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. For the roll call this evening, all staff and commissioners are in attendance. Vice President Ward is attending through Zoom. Item 4, are there any agenda modifications? Moving on, item 5, under announcements and presentations, there was an executive session on July 24th after our Lower McCutcheon Township Commissioner Workshop to discuss potential litigation, land acquisition, and conditional use deliberations. Under item 6.1, consideration of the conditional use application of Lanston Equities LLC for the Lehigh Valley Town Center project. Do I have a motion to authorize the solicitor to prepare a written decision approving the conditional use application of Lanston Equities LLC to authorize a mixed-use development at the property located at 361 Shantz Road and 4511 Cedar Brook Road, Lower McCutcheon Township, subject to the conditions set forth in the Township Exhibit 8, titled "The Motion to Recommend Conditional Use Approval of the Proposed Lehigh Valley Town Center and Top Golf Project, conditioned upon the following from 6/29/23, and any others discussed on the record at this hearing." Do I have such a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? I'll make one comment just for those who were in attendance at our last meeting. This unique project comes with 53 conditions to it, which is a whole lot compared to most developments. The one thing I will say is, as a township, we always try to be transparent in our approach to things, our deliberation processes, and making sure that we make the right decisions most of the time. I won't say all the time, but we try. During this process, which still has a whole nother phase to go, when we get to land development, we will continue to work closely with our municipal partners in both South Whitehall and Upper McCutcheon so that they can be kept in the loop as to what is going on. It's not from an approval perspective, but more so that we're good neighbors, as we always try to be. With that, is there any public comment on this topic?
Good evening and thank you. My name is Dennis McCarthy. I'm an attorney with Davison and McCarthy, and I'm here tonight on behalf of our client, Upper McCutcheon Township, and to really build on your comments that you just made a few minutes ago. As you're aware, Upper McCutcheon Township, through the submission of correspondence to Lower McCutcheon Township, has expressed an interest in certain aspects of the Lehigh Valley Town Center project, which may have an impact on Upper McCutcheon Township. I'm here to clarify that Upper McCutcheon Township is not seeking to be a part of the approval process. However, while an exciting project, the Town Center project is a significant project bordering Upper McCutcheon Township, and as such, Upper McCutcheon does maintain an interest in the project. Upper McCutcheon's Director of Community Development and Planning Specialist have been working closely with Lower McCutcheon's planner, and we recognize our history of collaboration with this township. We look forward to continuing that collaboration through the joint discussions, updates, and input by and between our respective staff and consultants. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Tom Petrucci. I'm the appointed Township Manager of South Whitehall Township. I'm here on behalf of the township to confirm our intent in submitting the letter dated July 20th, 2023 concerning the proposed Lehigh Valley Town Center. South Whitehall Township, through its professional planning staff, would like to reserve the right to review and comment on the specific aspects of this project that have the potential to impact South Whitehall Township, namely traffic, infrastructure, sewer planning, and light glare. At no time is South Whitehall Township seeking to intervene in the formal land development approval process for this project, which is in the sole discretion of Lower Macungie Township. We request continued collaboration with the Lower Macungie planning officials on this dynamic project, and we thank the governing body and the planning staff in affording us the opportunity. Both myself and South Whitehall Director of Community Development, Dave Manhart, appreciate Lower Macungie planning professionals continuing to provide us with updates on the project and facilitating productive input and dialogue on it between our planning professionals. Thank you for your consideration of this request, which I believe was memorialized by Commissioner Higgins. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schock, you have anything to add?
Developer appreciates greatly the township's cooperation through this process, and then we've gotten to this point. We've reviewed the conditions. They're acceptable. The only comment I would make is we did request an additional change, as you know, to number 17. That's not incorporated. That's fine. And the developer is of the presumption that as we get rolling on this, if there were extenuating circumstances, that the township would be cooperative with regard to the timeline if there were. We know that'll happen.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, guys have it. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 6.2. I hereby temporarily adjourn this meeting of the Lower Macungie Township Board of Commissioners for the purpose of conducting a conditional use hearing on the application of Prachi Realty LLC, who is seeking approval for a mixed-use development at 801 North Broad Street, Lower Macungie Township, in the WC West Coastville Commercial Zoning District. The property is 1.1 acres. The application proposes to develop the property with a two-story mixed-use building containing apartment units and office suites. The mixed-use building will consist of two 1,825 square foot office suites and 7 residential units. The property currently contains a single-family home, which will be removed. I would like to note the presence of a court stenographer who will commence recording a transcript of this hearing. I am now turning over the floor to our solicitor to conduct the hearing. Solicitor Bruman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening to everyone and welcome to this conditional use hearing. My name is David Broman. I'm the solicitor for Lower Macungie Township. The members of the Board of Commissioners that are present tonight are President Brian Higgins,
He's up there.
Okay, I'm sorry, Vice President Richard Ward by Zoom, and members Maury Robert, Ronald Beitler, and Brian Schumacher. Also present for the township is the township manager, Bruce Beidel, Assistant Township Manager Renee Flexer, Township Director of Planning and Community Development Nathan Jones, and finally, the Township Engineer Brian McAdam. As President Higgins noted, this is a conditional use hearing on the application of Prachi Realty LLC. A conditional use is a use permitted by right in the Township Zoning Code, meaning that if the applicant meets the objective criteria in the zoning ordinance, they are entitled to a conditional use. The board is not obligated to vote immediately at the conclusion of the conditional use hearing, although they may do so. The board's decision will be formalized in a written opinion, which has to occur within 45 days of the close of the hearing. Any party to the hearing that desires to file an appeal of the board's decision may do so in the Lehigh County Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of the decision. Is any other member of the public in attendance for tonight's conditional use hearing on this application of project? I asked if anyone
Raise your
is
hand if you're
here.
here about this issue.
Okay, I ask because there are two ways to participate tonight. One is to actually become a formal party to the proceeding. That gives you the right to put on your own evidence, to cross-examine the witnesses of the applicant, to prepare legal memoranda. And finally, if you're not happy with the decision, you're entitled to appeal this. So that's what's called party status. It's basically formally entering your appearance and becoming a party to the proceeding. The other way is to provide public comment. Public comment is provided at the end of the hearing. Once the applicant closes their testimony, President Higgins will ask if there's any public comment. At that time, you are invited to come up and provide public comment to the Board of Commissioners that are here to hear you. And trust me, public comment is taken into consideration with every condition of use. So I guess my initial question is, does anyone want to become a party to the proceeding? Okay, so you're here to provide public comment. Ms. Kate Durso is representing the applicant. Before I turn it over to Ms. Durso, I want to identify for the record the township exhibits. Exhibit T1 is the conditional use application, LMT 23002, filed by Prachi Realty LLC, dated January 16, 2023. Township 2 is the legal notice for the conditional use hearing as published in East Penn Press on July 19 and July 26, 2023. Exhibit T3 is the certification of property posting by Robert Schwartz, code specialist, and Vince Tranguch, Deputy Director of Community Development, dated July 17, 2023. T4 is the certification of mailing by Maureen Lang, Community Development Administrative Assistant, dated July 17, 2023. Exhibit T5 is a memorandum from Nathan Jones, Director of Planning and Community Development, to the Lower Macungie Township Planning Commission, dated February 10, 2023. T6, Township 6, is a memorandum from Carl Best, Zoning Officer, to the Lower Macungie Township Planning Commission, dated January 20, 2023. Exhibit Township 7 is a letter from Brian McAdam, Township Engineer, to Nathan Jones, Director of Planning and Community Development, dated February 9, 2023. And finally, T8 is the Planning Commission recommendation dated July 5, 2023. Ms. Durso, do you have any objections to the Township's exhibits?
No objection.
Why don't you have your witnesses sworn by the court reporter, and then you can begin to proceed.
While they're being sworn, I'm just going to pass out some exhibits.
Sure.
I do.
Thank you, Council.
The exhibits that we're going to present, we have on a PowerPoint, but I will leave some hard copies back here for the residents. And Renee is trusting me to use this PowerPoint, so we'll see how it goes. Can you state your name for the record?
Jayendra Patel,
And can you spell your first name?
Jayendra. Jayendra.
And spell your last name?
Patel, P as a Peter, A-D-E-L.
And as noted by the public notice, is the owner of the property Prachi Realty LLC?
Yes.
And are you a principal in that LLC?
Yes.
And it's your understanding that the property currently contains one single-family home, is that correct?
Yes.
And it's located within the West Coastville Commercial Zoning District, is that correct?
Yes.
And are you proposing to develop the property with a two-story mixed-use building?
Yes.
Will there be two 1,825 square foot office suites on the first floor?
Yes.
Will there be 7 residential units total on the property?
Yes.
Will 2 of those units be on the first floor?
Yes.
Will the basement also be available for office use?
Yes.
And will there be a dog run area and a tot lot?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have of Mr. Patel, and then we'll go in with Mr. Newton.
Does anyone from the board have a question for this one?
Can you state your name for the record?
Yes, Harold Newton Jr.
And Mr. Newton, where do you work?
I'm the principal engineer and principal surveyor for the Newton Engineering Group, PC.
And are you a licensed professional engineer in the Commonwealth of
Yes, a
Pennsylvania?
professional engineer and professional land surveyor in Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
And have you appeared before this Board of Commissioners on numerous occasions as an expert in civil engineering?
Yes, I have.
We would like to qualify Mr. Newton as an expert in civil engineering.
So qualified.
I'm going to show you, Mr. Newton, what were marked as Exhibit A1. Oh, there we go. A1 is labeled site location. Can you orient the board to where the property is located and what surrounds it?
Yes, this property is 801 North Broad Street. It's surrounded on the north and east by the Hamilton Crossings Shopping Center, and to the south by the Opperman Mobile Home Park, and to the west by Broad Street and residential properties to the west.
I'm going to show you what were marked as Exhibit A2. It's called Existing Site Street View. Can you explain to the board for the record what that represents?
Yes, this is the existing single-family home that's on the property that where Robert Bosick previously occupied the home and had his business operating from the property.
And that obviously would be removed if the use were granted the approvals.
Yes,
Is it your understanding that the WC zoning district is intended to provide a place where township residents and others can purchase goods and services in a compact pedestrian-oriented neighborhood setting?
yes, I was here at President Township when the ordinance was being discussed, and I understand that that was the intent of this zoning district.
Okay, I'm going to show you what we've marked as Exhibit A3. Is Exhibit A3 a portion of the township zoning map identifying the location of the property?
Yes, and the site is that little pink area located just south of the 222 bypass and north of Hamilton Boulevard. Yeah, where the cursor, you have the cursor right now.
And is the proposed use proportionate in scope to the existing and permitted uses in the vicinity of the site?
It's in keeping with what was proposed with the West Coastville Commercial Zoning District.
And as required for a mixed-use project in Lower Macungie Township, was the required design companion submitted to the township?
Yes, there was all the amenities and stuff for the project are included. It does comply with the mixed use provisions that are in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, I'm going to show you what we've marked as Exhibit A4. Is Exhibit A4 a portion of that design companion?
Yes, this is the overall plan for the property. It shows some of the improvements that we had. In conjunction with the zoning, we had to get a zoning variance because the district boundary line, this was a unique condition in that we had a district boundary line running down Broad Street, which would have required us to have a 50-foot buffer along Broad Street. We got a zoning variance because it was not the intent of the zoning ordinance. So we got a variance, and instead we're putting a gathering area in the front of the building and had zoning relief to reduce what was required in the front yard area. We have we'll see the enhanced architectural for the building. We're showing this screening around the building. We're showing additional landscaping that we're doing as opposed to it. We're showing some of the other amenities that we have. We have, outdoor in conjunction with the gathering area. We have tables, seating area. We have the tot lot. We have a dog run area. We have other facilities to go along with the apartment use and the business use that we have. And we oriented the building in such a way that the apartments are on the southern part adjacent to the mobile home park, and the business use are on the north end of the building adjacent to Hamilton Crossings.
And will there be arborvitae in addition to a privacy fence installed along the mobile home community?
Yes, there will be.
I'm going to just skip to A9 quickly. Is Exhibit A9 is entitled Site Amenities. Is that also part of the design companion that was submitted?
Yes, this is to give some ideas, some of the amenities that may be included with the project.
And obviously it shows some details of the dog park, the types of fencing, benches, and other types of amenities.
Yeah, one of the important factors is that double face wall that will be in the front yard area to separate this project from the Broad Street and provide the gathering area in the front of the building. That was part of the zoning relief that we required.
And you mentioned about the applicant submitting renderings and elevations of the proposed building. I'm going to show you what we've marked as Exhibit A5 and A6. It's entitled Building Elevations. Can you orient the board to the first drawing, which is entitled North Elevation?
Yes, these were plans that were prepared by that the developer worked with W2A architects to provide a building that complied with the mixed use requirements, had the enhanced architectural features that were requested. You have balconies, you have enhanced construction elements. It also was meant to fit in with the neighborhood. It was meant to look like more like a residential building, a neighborhood building rather than a commercial building.
And were these elevations done in consultation with township staff?
Yes, it was. The view on the top left there was the view that you'll see from Hamilton Crossings. This is the office view side. The view on the lower right-hand side is what you would see from the mobile home park side of the building. This is the entrance to the two apartments on the south. And it's interesting to note that those apartment units are set up to be ADA accessible. They have garages that are ADA accessible.
And going to Exhibit A6, which is again showing the building elevations. This would be the east and west sides.
Yes, the west side is the view from Broad Street. And you can see the balconies that were provided for, to provide, for that type of amenity for those residents in the apartments.
And does the design include siding similar to residential buildings in the area?
Yes, the whole intent was to provide something that, again, that is more of a village look as opposed to a commercial, typical commercial or strip center type look.
And the colors obviously are a combination of neutral browns and tans with red brick as well.
Yes, and they were, again, meant to complement what's done in the village of West Coastville.
And with regard to the entrance to the office, is that meant to be reminiscent of a Main Street type storefront?
Yes, it is.
And will there be a covered room, a cover area over the lobby entrance?
Yes.
Does the proposed development meet all of the setback requirements?
Yes, it does.
Does it meet the density and coverage requirements?
Yes, it's less than the number. You have less apartment units than what would be allowed by the ordinance.
Will the lighting be the full LED cutoff, dark sky friendly fixtures?
Yes, it will be designed to meet the lighting requirements of zoning ordinance. There will be maximum 3,000 K LED lighting fixtures that are dark sky compliant.
And is the building height less than the maximum height limitation of 50 feet?
Yes, it will be.
Will the minimum size for the apartments be provided?
Yes, they will.
I'm going to show you what we've marked as Exhibit A7. Exhibit A7 is entitled Floor Plans. Can you just, for the record, note to the board the size of the units?
Yes, this is the approximate size right now based on the preliminary plans that we have. As you can see on the lower floor plan, we have the two office buildings on the first floor. And as was intended with the Wescoville zoning, Dr. J. Patel will be occupying one of these offices. One of them will be for his use, which is an intent of the Wescoville zone that, you know, you have the owner occupant of it. And then you'll have the two ADA apartments on the lower level, and then the upper level, you'll have the 5 other apartment units.
And will the second floor units be approximately 1,000 to 1,200 square feet in
Yes.
size?
Yes,
And-
which exceeds what's required for in the zoning ordinance.
And then the first floor, what ADA accessible would be approximately 1,050 square feet with a 400 square foot garage.
That's correct.
How will the site be accessed?
All because of the way, you know, there was an attempt to see if we could get access to Hamilton Crossings. They denied any access to that. Actually, Mr. Bosick tried to get access when he owned the property, but it was turned down by Hamilton Crossings. So all access to this property has to come from Broad Street.
And is that because the applicant was advised by the Hamilton Crossing representatives that there are significant covenants on the property that are of record that prevent the connections from being viable?
That's correct.
Will there be any issues with fire truck access?
No, we've developed a fire truck turning plan. All the radii on the property itself is designed so the fire truck the largest fire truck that the township has can get around on the property.
So I'm showing what we've marked in the exhibit package as Exhibit 8, fire truck turning plan. Does that verify the ability to access with the fire truck?
Yes, it does.
Is anticipated trip generation for the subject property anticipated to be minimal?
Yes, we ran trip generation on the uses that are proposed based on ITE statistics. You had ADT for both uses, both the apartment and the medical use of 132 vehicles per day and 19 vehicles during the PM peak hour.
And is that set forth in what we've marked as Exhibit A10 entitled Site Generated Traffic?
Yes, yes, and these are low volume. This is considered low volume uses for this type of property.
And so based on the amount of traffic to be generated, will there be any adverse impact on traffic in the area?
We would not see that as being any more of an impact than any other type of use that you would see on this type of use in the Wescoville commercial area.
And at the request of the township, did your office have core samples done of North Broad Street?
Yes, the one concern that the township had with the proposal was the condition of North Broad Street. There was some concern about was it structurally adequate to be able to handle the traffic that would be generated from this project. In conjunction with Brian's office, we went out and did some core borings out there. They were witnessed by Brian's office. We did 4 core borings. And as a result, we came up with a plan to upgrade this section of Broad Street to provide the minimum of 5.5 inches of bituminous material out here that's required will be overlaid to be able, so that the minimum depth when we're finished with the overlays will be a minimum of 5.5 inches on this section of Broad Street.
So
And we also looked at, in conjunction, we contacted Public Works to see what size truck they use for snow plowing and other maintenance on this. And Dennis came back and told us the size truck that he uses. We developed a K-turn, and we were able to, between the easement that you have along New Street for the sewer line, plus the easement that we'll provide on site, we're able to provide a K-turn that the truck can make a K-turn movement at the end of Broad Street. We also, if the township so desires, we would, the developer was willing to provide an easement through the site to allow for the township trucks to turn around on his property if desired by the township.
And so I'm showing the board what's marked as Exhibit A11, which says existing Broad Street core borings. Does that identify the location of where the borings were obtained?
Yes,
Does it also identify the K turn that you just testified about?
yes, it does.
And it identifies how the proposed accesses will come off of North Broad Street?
Yes, yes, it does show the access points. Then we have in the land development plan, we'll have a plan that shows the amount of overlay that we'll have on the various sections of the roadway to accomplish the 5.5 inches of depth of pavement.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's marked as Exhibit A12. Is Exhibit A12 photographs confirming the taking of the core borings?
Yes,
And you mentioned about road improvements. The road improvements would be along the frontage of the subject property?
yes, it would be.
And as in conjunction with the review by the planning commission, will a sign be installed to prevent through traffic onto New Street?
Yes, yeah, New Street is a private road. It's not owned by the township, and we will be putting up a sign that identifies it as such, and that all traffic should be turning left, coming out of this project, going south onto Broad Street.
And will the stormwater management design be established and finalized during the land review, the land development review process?
Yes, well, we'll have to comply with the Little Lehigh stormwater management requirements for the project, and we'll be just, controlling it with underground detention and surface discharging to the stormwater system on Hamilton crossings.
And will public water and sewer be provided?
Yes, there's an existing, LCA has water lines in Broad Street. The township has sewer lines in Broad Street that we will be connecting to.
And will all utility service lines be placed underground?
Yes, they will be.
And were you present at the planning commission meeting when the project was reviewed?
Yes, we were. We also had discussions with the neighbors following the meetings in regard to some of the concerns they have, and we've taken those concerns into consideration with the design of the project.
And did the applicant accept the conditions that were set forth on the planning commission recommendation, which is now marked as Township Exhibit 8?
Yes,
In your opinion, is the development of the project in the best interest of the township?
yes, I think it's in compliance with what was the intent of the Wescosville commercial zone.
Is the site suitable for the proposed development?
Yes, it is.
Will the development be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained so as to be in harmony with the existing and intended character of the general vicinity?
Yes, it is.
Does the project meet the applicable requirements for a mixed-use development?
Yes, it does. It's interesting because it is the first mixed-use development that we're doing in the Wescosville commercial zone. And I believe it's the first one overall that's being done that complies with the new ordinance.
Is the development, in your opinion, suitable in terms of permitting the logical, safe, efficient, and economical extensions of public services and facilities, including water, sewer, police, and fire protection?
Yes, it does.
In your opinion, is the development suitable in terms of the effects on street traffic and safety with adequate access being provided?
Yes,
Will the proposed development cause any undue traffic congestion or any traffic hazards?
no, I think it's in keeping with what was intended for this zoning district.
And finally, in your opinion, do you believe that granting of the conditional use approval would have any adverse impact on the surrounding properties or public health, safety, or welfare?
We do not think it will have any adverse effect.
That's all the questions I have of Mr. Newton.
Does any member of the board have any questions for Mr. Newton?
Just one question, the fire truck turning. Are you, guess you're thinking Upper McCungy, sir?
It's on the plans or on the diagrams, it says UMT fire.
Sorry
gonna
about
ask the same
that. That was
question,
a
but-
drafting error, but it is your aerial truck that we've used. I gotta chastise one of my designers.
So that is our truck then?
It is your truck, Rod. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
I didn't even catch that.
We have a library. They must have pulled the wrong truck out of the library when they put it together today.
Well, if they pulled the wrong truck, does that match up with ours?
The plan itself matches up with yours. I think when they were putting this plan together for the PowerPoint today, I think they grabbed one from the wrong library.
Yeah. The plan itself,
We will,
without the detail, was presented originally to confirm compliance. It's just the detail now is misplaced.
and we will double check that through the land development process to make sure.
Commissioner Ward, do you have any questions?
No, sir, I do not.
Thank you. Kate, do you have any other witness?
I have no other witnesses. I'd like to formally submit our exhibits into evidence.
They're accepted into evidence. We can close the hearing at this point, and accept public comment.
So we'll accept public comment. Before we start public comment, though, I always like to give everybody kind of a flavor of what public comment is, what process or what part of the process we're in. So in any development, there are several stages. There's the applicant submitting their plans. There is the planning commission review. In some cases, like tonight, there's a conditional use hearing, which talks about the conditions that have to be met in order to develop a piece of land, which doesn't happen on every piece of land, but in some ways it does. And then there's land development. Most of the questions that come up from the public when we talk about developments like this are land development questions. So talking about traffic, talking about roads, talking about stormwater, things of those nature. We're not at that point yet. That being said, you're still free to come up and make any comment you wish. Anybody who has or wants to speak has 3 minutes to make comments. It's not a question and answer session. It's just a comment in particular about this development. So I just like to start off that way so everybody knows what to expect. But if any member of the public would like to make a comment about this particular development, please just come up to the podium, write your name in the ledger or on the paper, state your name and address, and you'll have your 3 minutes. So anybody want to come up and speak?
Have we closed the hearing?
Well, we're, yeah.
Yeah, we
closed
closed
the
the hearing,
hearing.
but she's going to record all the public comment.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is AJ Narang, and I am living at 5475 Hamilton Boulevard. I have 2 lots over there, number 4 and 24. And traffic so far at Hamilton Street or Hamilton Boulevard is already crazy. And that in the past couple of months, if you look at the records, there have been several accidents at the traffic light of Taco Bell and the crossing of the Hamilton Boulevard on that traffic light. And now bringing another Home Depot just opened up. And on top of that, bringing another commercial property in that area. That is, I think that's gonna be bringing more traffic and it's gonna be more not safe for us or the kids in that area. That's my comment.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else with public comment? All right, and seeing none,
Mr. President, if it's okay, there's a woman that submitted a comment today and wanted it read in
Absolutely.
the record. It's very brief. It's from Judith Track, and actually William and Judith Track. We request that the Broad Street property not be developed unless New Street is obtained by the township and improved by the developer to township standards. The traffic on New Street now is very light, and this will create major problems.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to read into the record, mostly for the public's benefit, because you don't always get, maybe see what's in the recommendations from the planning commission, but what the 8 conditions that the planning commission has recommended for this conditional use. The first one is that the applicant shall address all comments in the most recent township planning department, zoning officer, and township engineer review letters to the written satisfaction of each. Number 2, that the applicant shall construct the proposed building in conformity with the elevation shown to the planning commission at their February 14th, 2023 regular meeting. Number 3, the applicant shall plant a row of green giant arborvitae in addition to the proposed privacy fence along the south property boundary line abutting the mobile home community. Number 4, the applicant shall preserve all existing tree lines and as many existing trees as possible on the site. A list of trees to be felled shall be presented for review and written approval by the township engineer and Township Department of Community Development. Number 5, the applicant shall provide proper stormwater discharge to an existing stormwater facility in Hamilton Crossings or elsewhere to be reviewed and approved in writing by the township engineer. Number 6, the applicant shall improve North Broad Street to meet current Lower Macungie Township Road design standards along frontage where required legally and by ordinance. During the course of project construction, any damage anywhere along the length of North Broad Street shall be repaired by the applicant at their sole cost and meet the current Lower Macungie Township Road design standards. Number 7, the applicant shall install a road sign stating private road, no through traffic at the intersection of North Broad and New Street to prohibit traffic traveling onto New Street. And number 8, all final landscaping, fencing, and site amenities shall be reviewed and approved in writing by the Township Community Development Department prior to submission of plans for recording. So as stated, of those 8 conditions, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay. I was going to say, do I have a motion to approve, to authorize the solicitor to prepare a written decision approving the conditional use application of Prachi Realty LLC to authorize a mixed-use development at the property located at 801 Broad Street, Lower Macungie Township, subject to the conditions discussed on the record at this hearing? We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Are there any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. You have to come up, sir, to the podium, write your name and address, state your name and address, and you can make your statement.
We got here a little late, and I was just concerned. Oh, my name is Paul White, and I stay in the Valley Community Mobile Home Park there. I believe there's maybe 25, 30 units in that area. And we've seen the impact of the traffic that comes through and cuts around and does their thing. I'm not sure if it's been discussed and put to the side already, but I was wondering about the impact on what it's going to be for that Valley Community Mobile Home Park. Or I don't know how else to
Yeah.
describe it.
As I don't know if you heard me before, but when we talk about traffic impact and
Right.
traffic studies, that comes in the next phase of this. So when we get to land development, that's where all of that is covered. The applicant will have to show traffic impact, traffic studies, stormwater discharge, stormwater management, things along those lines when we get to that phase. This just lays out what conditions have to be met in order to make it to land development. So that is still to come.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, then seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. Accordingly, I direct the solicitor to prepare a written decision with findings of fact and conclusions of law, incorporating the aforementioned conditions, which will be reviewed and approved at a public meeting of the Board of Commissioners, and then executed by the President of the Board of Commissioners and filed with the Township Secretary. At this time, the conditional use hearing is adjourned and the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners is reconvened.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving forward to item 6.3, resolution 2023-41, approving the 3-lot minor subdivision plan for Paul Stepniak. Mr. Jones.
Yes, members of the board, members of the public, the planning commission reviewed a submission for a 3-lot minor subdivision by Mr. Stepniak. It is immediately abutting Mountain View Estates, which is also a subdivision submitted and approved by the township that was proposed by Mr. Stepniak. If we pull the plan up, what you'll see is that there is an existing residence that fronts immediately on Elbow Lane. That existing residence will remain in place. And then the 2 new lots proposed will have 2 new single-family residential dwelling units that will have frontage on the newly constructed Gregory Drive, which is currently actually in place if you were to drive by the site. Those 2 lots will have 2 new residences, but I should note those 2 residences will technically be independent and not part of the Mountain View Estates subdivision. They will be single minor subdivision lots. They won't be subject to any HOA standards from Mountain View Estates or any of the other management or approvals from third-party agencies. So as such, each one of these lots is going to include an infiltration basin, the rear of the site, which our ordinance does allow. We have expressed concerns during initial review about the impact of the site, but the applicant's engineer and the applicant did set it up so that there will be room at the rear of the homes for patios and fences and the like, sheds, et cetera, that we generally see after someone moves into a new home and they come to the zoning office with those questions. Also, there will be full frontage improvements along Elbow Lane, matching what is across the street on the Mountain View Estate side with Gregory Lane. So that'll be frontage improvements, offer of right of way, street trees, so on and so forth. We have recommended a condition to ensure that existing trees and existing tree lines are respected as much as possible. We do know that we heard from residents regarding that matter. There are some larger trees there. And then last but not least, just because all of the residences in Mountain View Estates will be served by bank mailboxes per USPS standards, we want to ensure that the 2 new residents either have independent mailboxes that have been approved or some other means of receiving mail at the site. Other than that, there is a recommendation from the Planning Commission. It's a minor subdivision and it fills out this area fairly clearly to take care of this remaining land. I would bring Engineer McAdam in to bring up any other points I might have missed. Last but not least, I would like to note as far as infrastructure goes, sewer, water service, et cetera, is all available in this area. And that's been noted as well as part of the review.
Thanks, Nate. I really don't have much to offer. I'm assuming that the comments from my May 3rd review letter are all considered will comply by the applicant and their engineer. As long as that's the case, I don't have any issues. It's a pretty straightforward little project.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 2023-41. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. 6.4, Resolution 2023-42, approving the preliminary final land development plan for Raising Cane's. Mr. Jones.
Yes, Raising Cane's received a fair amount of phone calls from interested residents about this user. This is the final lot to be developed in the movie tavern development. It is immediately next to the previously approved Wawa drive-through. And then on the western side will be, or is existing, the Texas Roadhouse. So this will be the last lot in between all of them. This has been at the Planning Commission for a little while, taking care of mostly technical related items. There is a double drive-through proposed on the site, as well as a pass-through drive, very similar to the Wawa. It is the expectation that the drive-through business will be very busy at the site. However, I should note there's parking provided, outdoor dining and outdoor seating provided, and then of course the interior of the store will provide it as well. There is a walking trail that's provided in between the Raising Cane's and the Wawa out to Hamilton Boulevard and into the development site. We're very happy to see that, as well as a street wall. That street wall will be completely made of stone, matching the Wawa street wall. And of course, I always remind everybody, while that looks nice, it is also to block out the headlights from coming out onto Hamilton Boulevard for people when they're driving through. This was tabled at the Planning Commission to take care of some lane and interior traffic issues, which have since been modified to the satisfaction of the township. I'll allow the township engineer to speak about that a little bit further. I would note also, there's a very generous landscaping plan on this site, along with the handsome signage that meets our design guidelines with monument signage. The last thing that I would like to bring up, Renee, could you show the elevations? We did have a meeting with representatives from both Raising Cane's and Mr. Newton regarding the elevations of the site. This is a standard elevation for Raising Cane's locations. One point of note is that the rear of the structure faced Hamilton Boulevard. And as our ordinance calls for, even if your rear of the structure faces Hamilton Boulevard, we ensure that it has the appearance of a storefront. We were originally talking about a mural and some other architectural enhancements. Then we had a meeting a couple of days ago where there was a discussion instead about putting in the faux storefront that you see there with the glass, the signage, and the like. This is right in line with our ordinances, and we're very appreciative of working with Raising Cane's and their willingness to do this. So it's going to look very good from the street as the flagship location here in the Lehigh Valley. We're expecting a lot of people will be interested in the moment that they open up. So I would hand it over to Engineer McAdam to talk about that traffic issue, just to allay any concerns that may exist. Again, to the best of my knowledge, it's been handled, but there were some technical items regarding garbage pickup, trash, the drive-through, so on and so forth. It's a tight site. And I would like to thank the township engineer and Engineer Newton for everybody working together to manage this site.
Thanks, Nate. Yeah, we had concerns with the original submission in terms of the layout. It was a bit awkward. We felt that changes were needed. As Nate pointed out, Mr. Newton and his staff were able to come up with a revision that we feel is a significantly better and much safer layout, both for their use as well as for the public in general. We're comfortable with what's proposed. It is a tight site, but we feel comfortable with what we see. We have a July 3rd review letter. There really isn't much in it. And Mr. Newton has already submitted revisions. I believe that everything in my letter can be complied with. We will be reviewing the plans and getting things together for complete approval, dependent on the board's feelings tonight. But I'm comfortable that everything in my letter can be addressed.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 2023-42. Is there a second?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions?
Yes,
Yes,
Just
Attorney
one.
Shock.
Eric Schock, Fitzpatrick, Munson, Buba. I pointed this out at the planning commission and I just wanted to iterate it to be clear. There's a condition that requires the applicant to place receptacles on its property, but it says also off-site at the movie tavern. The applicant and the owner is here. There's no issue with attempting to make that happen, but obviously there's the permission. This is a planned community and movie tavern owns their lot. So one or both of them is going to have to approve it. And if we can't do it, we can't do it. I don't want to be in non-compliance simply because we tried but weren't able to.
Sure.
And if I can just interject on that, that condition was the same exact condition that was recommended from when Wawa was approved. So for parity purposes, we wanted to have it in there. We expect both of these sites to be very successful, producing potentially a lot of customers and therefore a lot of garbage. So we just want everybody to work together, make sure that garbage isn't an issue at the site.
Yeah. And we'll give it a shot. I just
Yeah.
can't promise anything, just like I said that at Wawa. It's off-site. You can do what you can do.
Understood. Okay. Any other public comment or question? Yes.
Brian, I'd just
go ahead.
like to thank Brian McAdam and Andres Heinrich for working with us for the traffic flow in the site. I think we end up with a good project here. And also, you will be getting something unique here. This rear elevation is the only one in the country that's going to be this way.
Yeah.
So ADA architects really went out and Raising Cane's went out of their way to redesign the building to give you that look from Hamilton Boulevard that you have here. So it is something that's going to be unique, the only one in the country that looks like this.
Excellent. Okay, seeing no other public comment, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, resolution 2023-43, approving a long-term agreement with Turnpike Commission for accessing under bridge in Camp Olympic Park. Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. As discussed in detail at our various workshop meetings, this agreement does allow the township to pass underneath the Turnpike Bridge located in our Camp Olympic. If you've been to the park or have noticed, there are park space lands on both sides of the Turnpike. Currently, this is an access point for us. The only access to those parcels on the west component of the park. It was necessary that we memorialize our use and our current use with the Turnpike. And that is what you have before you for your consideration.
Okay,
Move to approve.
we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-43. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 6.6, consideration of requests for additional streetlights on Lincoln Drive in an existing streetlight district. Ms. Flexer.
Yes, commissioners, we received requests from residents on Lincoln Drive saying that they felt that it was too dark on Lincoln Drive. So we went to PP&L to see if we would be able to get additional streetlights installed. And you'll see here, they can actually install two different ones. So it's up to the board if you want to install one or both. If you choose to only do one, I recommend that we do the one shown here in orange. That would be next to their clustered mailboxes.
Move to authorize 2 streetlights.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the installation of 2 additional streetlights on Lincoln Drive. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Is there any public comment on non-agenda topics? Yes, please come up to the podium, write down your name and address, state your name and address. Thank you.
You're welcome.
smiling because last time I was in front of a
could you
microphone, I
adjust
feel
the
it.
mic?
Oh, I'm
Just-
sorry.
Just pull the microphone closer. They're not.
That's it?
That's better.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm Jane Guglielmello. I live at 6513 Charles Court. And I'm coming today because myself and others in our neighborhood have really been smelling like paint fumes. We've noticed it before, but it's seen the frequency of these fumes is increasing. And so besides the unpleasant odor, we're a little concerned about the health effects of the paint fumes. I'm in a Legacy Oaks development. I mean, I don't have proof. We think it's the MAC, but obviously we were hoping that maybe the town would investigate it and look into it for us.
Mr. Beidle, what's the process for looking into that type of issue?
Yeah, it would be something we would investigate. I believe if it's the MAC plant, they are regulated by the state for emissions that come from that. I would think, and I'm just speaking off the cuff here, so don't hold me to that. I would think there would be some form of report or permitting from the state for that. We could investigate that way and kind of work our way back, but I really don't know actually, but I would probably start there.
Okay, so we can investigate and respond back to the resident, you know, what we find or what steps can be taken either by us or by the resident.
Correct, and give an update to the board, at a
Okay.
future workshop.
Okay,
Okay,
that'd be good. Thank you.
thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you repeat your address?
6513 Charles Court.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ma'am, please.
Good evening. My name is Jeanette Palizzi, and I also live in Legacy Oaks. It's 2851 Donegal Drive. And I'm looking for an update on the Willow Lane safety concern that was discussed at the last meeting. Our president of our board, Dave DeReamer, I believe, was here and presented it. And I was wondering if there was an update on that.
Sure, I can give you an update and the board as well. The traffic engineer was out with our deputy director of community development, not this week, but last week. They were touring several sites where we've had traffic concerns brought forward. Mr. Trangoose is actually out of the office this week. So that's the extent that I know of what happened with that field meeting. I would anticipate we see some form of notification back to myself and this board, and then we can share that with the residents once they're done doing the engineer review, as well as any comments that we hear from that professional. So.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to follow up with, was there any discussion, if you can tell me, regarding the signage on Route 100? Because the trailers that are driving down and up Willow Lane that are well beyond the 45-foot length according to the signage, is there any discussion that there's going to be signage posted on Route 100, both north and south, so before they make the turn onto Willow
Yeah.
Lane?
The
'Cause
one-
by then it's too late.
Right. The problem with that is, and because we've had it at other parts of Route 100, because Route 100 is a state road, we can't put any signs out there. The state has to do it. PennDOT has to put the signs themselves. We actually asked for this at one point down at 100 and Sauerkraut because the same problem was happening.
Right.
And PennDOT would not put them on Route 100. They said we could put them on Sauerkraut, but just like with Willow, once they make the turn, it's too late. They're already going. In this situation, uniquely, both roads are PennDOT roads, both Willow and Route 100. So we can request, and we do request often from PennDOT to do such signage. I wouldn't hold your breath on it, but we're going to keep asking because we have several different areas of the township where we have that problem. Another one is coming off of Lower McCungy Road onto Willow the other way, where we've put signs or signs have been put, although they are on Willow Lane, which again causes the problem of once you're on Willow Lane,
Right.
how do you get off?
Right.
So we will continue to ask and continue to bug our friends at the state.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure my colleagues and
Sure.
neighbors appreciate that too, because that is a concern at the curve in particular,
Mhm.
where we've seen, out walking and actually have seen trailers had to stop at that curve because they can't negotiate the turn, and they have to wait until the oncoming traffic passes them before they can negotiate the turn because they have to go into that oncoming lane. So it is a serious safety issue.
Understood.
That, we are very concerned about, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse.
And,
So,
and I would say actually several years ago, we did reach out to PennDOT, about truck signage on Willow Lane, as part of their road analysis when they, put up those signs with certain trailer restrictions, and length when the state law changed to, allow, trucks and larger vehicles to access, roadways. We were told that at that time that, the signage there was appropriate. It met PennDOT minimums. We also noticed on the township side that, tractor trailers were accessing Willow. We saw them on several occasions, Donegal to Village to Willow. And of course, all of the state signage was further back at Wawa. So the township did, put up some signage on Village to restrict those, and post the restriction for trucks, to hopefully, keep them from going around Village, and allowing them to have the excuse that I didn't see a sign. So we did, on that end, try to post additional signage. I want to say that was maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago now.
but my question though is, if the trailer itself is 53 feet long plus the cab, the signage says trailers or trucks no longer than 45 feet. So there's clearly, they're not following the law. So,
And we've also requested, additional patrols from the state as well, with the issue of trucks, both at, the lower Macungie, Willow side, and the, Willow 100 side as well to, hopefully quell that component.
just another thought,
Okay, man,
I'm sorry.
and I apologize. It's not really a question and answer.
Oh.
It's make a statement. You're on your fourth statement. So
Okay,
I appreciate
That's
it.
okay.
Okay.
all right.
But we understand what the issue is and we're doing everything within our power
I
to try to
appreciate that.
rectify it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 8, communications, 8.1, Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. We have, two items this evening for your consideration. The first item, Mr. John Hammer, has submitted his letter of resignation for the Planning Commission.
Move to accept with regret.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to accept the resignation of John Hammer from the Planning Commission with regret. Are there any commissioner comments or questions?
A comment that with John's departure, we are left with 4 members on the Planning Commission, 3 of which we've appointed in the last couple of months. And so I have some concerns with the experience level of the Planning Commission and think that when we do an appointment to the Planning Commission, maybe we ought to consider one of the applicants that has already had some experience on the Planning Commission.
I'm sure we could take that under advisement. Are you requesting to go back to the Planning Commission, Maureen? Is that what you're looking for? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I think that could be taken under consideration. When looking at it, I would keep the current, whatever we have as a current pool and, send out another request for applicants and see what the cat drags in.
Yeah, the appointment policy requires us to do 6 days to accept applications and then interview and appoint within 90 days. So the last appointment we did because it was basically a short time period. Mr. Hammer's, his term expires January 1st, 2025. So we have like all next year for this person to fill that term. Currently, we have 3 applicants on file, Mr. Smonich, Mr. Siegel, and Mr. Dowdy.
Okay.
We can include them.
Yeah, we'll include them in the
Mhm.
pool
Yep.
as well. Okay. Any objections from the board? Okay. Any other commissioner comments or questions? Seeing none, any public comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Beidle.
We also received a notification from RCN that they intend to raise cable rates.
Okay.
that throughout the town?
I think it's just, I want to say it was a fairly vague letter that they are raising their rates. So I think it's more than just this township, but yeah, it's several dollars, I guess.
Was there any other communication that we wanted to discuss? Oh, okay. All right, very good. Okay, moving on, item 9, appointments to various boards, committees, and commissions. There are none this evening. Item 10, approval of minutes from previous meetings, July 20th, 2023.
Move to approve with a revision. With the Lehigh Valley Town Center project, the motion was written as to table the conditional use hearing. And it should be I would propose that it be modified to table the vote on the conditional use request.
Is there any objection? Okay, then we have a motion with a revision. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 11, approval of transfers, bill list, and payroll. Mr. Beidle.
Thank you. I have the following for your consideration. The general fund, $514,721.85. The sewer fund, $529,503.20. The capital projects fund, $77,316.65. The liquid fuels, $357,491.98. The payroll, $186,245.12. The developer escrow, $66,838.26. Total of all funds, $1,732,117.06.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And as I stated every meeting, our full bill list is available on our website for anyone to review. Item 12, departmental matters. Engineering, Mr. McAdam.
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much. Planning, Mr. Jones.
Nothing further from what we discussed earlier. Thank you.
Very good. Solicitor Bruman.
Nothing other than you'll have the written decisions for both the Jandal project and this one probably within the next 30 days.
Nice. 3 for 3. And who's going to spoil it? Mr. Beidle, Township Manager.
Thank you. I just have one item for your consideration as discussed at the workshop. We are looking at the purchase of a leaf vacuum truck to take care of our leaf operation. This would be a grant funded purchase. We are awaiting and going to be submitting this grant. We do not have word that we've received it yet. However, there is a delay in the delivery of cabin chassis for that unit. We would like to ask the board permission to move forward with the purchase of just the cabin chassis from Lowe and Moyer Garage in the amount of $140,886.49. CoStar's vendor number 118646 with a CoStar's contract of 025 E22-490. And I would also note if we would cancel this order, it would be necessary that the township reimburse the vendor a $5,000 fee for not going through with it. I just wanted to note that to everyone.
Move to approve with regrets because I would have preferred to get a Mack truck, but.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve consideration of CoStar's contract to purchase a leaf vacuum truck chassis from Lowe and Moyer Garage, Inc. in the amount of $140,886.49. Are there any commissioner comments or questions?
Just one comment. I agree, Maury. We we would like to get a Mack truck, but they just couldn't accommodate what we were after.
Right.
And we did try.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Any public comment or question? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Beidle?
That's all I have unless there's any questions for me.
Any questions for the manager? Okay, moving forward, item 13, other business. Is there any old business to discuss this evening? Any new business to discuss? Seeing none, item 14, Board of Commissioner reports. The next board regular meeting is scheduled for August 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The next board workshop is August 28th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Are there any other Board of Commissioner reports? Okay, there will not be an executive session tonight. And with that, we are adjourned.
Good night, all.
Night, Rich. So close.